welcome, Tessa. I can't wait to interview today and have you here, have the honor to talk to you, to get the interview for our Hall of Fame. You are an amazing community member inside the Strong Babes Club, and you have had so many learnings the past couple of months, going through like different phases of your body transformation journey. And so I'm very stoked to dive right in with you today. For everyone who like doesn't know you, I mean, you are active on the community board, but still like where did your fitness journey even start? Like when were you like, oh my gosh, I would love to lift weights or get into health and fitness?
I still consider myself a newbie because I didn't really get into strength training until 3 or 4 years ago. So I'd been doing group fitness classes, and I encountered this trainer who was teaching group fitness classes, but also had his own coaching business. And so he just invited me to come and check it out. And that was the first time that I had a barbell on my back or picked it up in any way, shape, or form. And I remember getting hooked on it. I just loved feeling stronger in a way that I hadn't before. And he also introduced the concepts of like rebuilding. And so that was all new to me. And it just seemed like such a smart approach where I felt like I had been kind of spinning my wheels before. I was like working out, but not really seeing results, which was frustrating. I felt like I didn't look like I was taking my health as seriously as I was.
So when you're saying like before that, before the time you were working with that coach and you it kind of like clicked and you were like, actually to transform my body, I need type of like bodybuilding, and bodybuilding approach because they are the best people in the world transforming their bodies, obviously. What have you done? Like, what was it? Group fitness? Like, give me an idea of like how that looked like.
So if for anyone in the US, I was at Orange Theory, and that was kind of my
Ah, okay.
last group fitness thing. And so you like have 30 minutes on the treadmill and then 30 minutes of some kind of strength training, but you're never really doing the same things. You can only go so heavy. Like you're not really pushing in the way. There's not a structure to it. It's not organized. It's kind of fast still. And you're just sort of like you're doing something, and something is better than nothing. And I mean, I feel like there were people in there whose genetics could gift them the body that they want doing that work, but that just wasn't my experience. So yeah, it was Orange Theory. And then I think prior to that, I'd find little videos, and it was just all very random though. And I felt like I was checking the boxes that I thought needed to be checked. Like I'm picking up a dumbbell. This is something, right? This is strength training. But I just didn't understand how much more there was to it. I really had no idea until I finally had somebody show me, like, you keep pushing until you can't go anymore. And that's what a max effort feels like. I had never really experienced that before. So,
Okay, so it was like kind of because you didn't know like the depth of like training, probably also nutrition, maybe. I don't know like how much nutrition was part of like your regime back when you did the Orange County things. Was it even a thing you were paying attention to?
not really. I think I relate a lot to what you've shared in your story because I think I was always interested in it, and I was trying to kind of find a path where like I want to eat healthy, I want to eat the right things, but I never understood macros. I just didn't pay attention to it. I thought that it was like calorie in, calorie out, which is like not true, but it's just again, it's such a small piece of the pie, pun intended, But yeah, so I hadn't ever really tracked. And I think I would just maybe try to eat a little less, but then I would be so hungry after an Orange Theory class. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, apparently I burned 300 calories. So I can eat this burrito today because I'm so hungry and it'll be okay. It'll all wash out. So I just didn't know how to put that together at all. And I hadn't really been, yeah, tracking in the way that I think you have to if you actually want to see results.
But was the Orange County thing in general helping you to establish a routine, like really like showing up regularly to the classes?
It I did appreciate that part of it for a while. I think there was a period where there is something that's nice about not having to construct your own workout program. Like somebody else can do that work. And so if I just show up and do what I'm told, then I know that I've done something, for fitness and health today. So I appreciated that element of it. I think that there was always in the back of my mind though, like, do I just do this forever? Like, what if I get sick of this? And like, I did, that there's just, I think I had, oh, as much as I appreciated it, I was left wanting more and just sort of wondering like, what do people do after this? And like, there's only, I guess I had the sense that like, there's only so far you can really go with these kinds of classes. So I didn't know what the next thing was though. But it did give me, I did appreciate the chance to push. I think that always feels good when you have a chance to just, I think especially for me on the treadmill, I'm not a runner, don't like running. And so that was really huge, like being able to kind of conquer, being able to jog for 10 minutes at a time, that was a big deal. So I was really, really appreciative of that push that I hadn't had before.
Yeah, I can really relate to that because my journey also started with like group fitness classes, athletic training. It was in a small group with my mom, even my brother and dad were like joining at some point, and so it was really like fun. We also did a lot of like challenges and let's burn 1,000 calories today, like those kind of things.
Yeah.
And I definitely think it helps to build a consistency and enjoying movement in a different way of like, hey, even though I can't, I remember I couldn't hold a plank for like 30 seconds at the very beginning, which made me feel like, oh damn, there's like I'm such a like nobody when it comes to fitness. But then achieving those little challenges, as you said, like with the running, like not being a runner and then being able to do that, it's kind of like cool to see how you're leveling up.
It is. You're right. And I think it's seeing what your body can do for you when you like give it a chance. It felt really good to just try and like do something challenging and see what's possible. So that felt really good.
And was that also the reason why you became hungry for more because it was giving you kind of a little taste of what's actually, you know, you were like thinking, hey, I cannot run. I'm not a runner. I don't enjoy it. But then you were able to do it. And maybe also with other things that you did in the group fitness class, was that actually making you like, huh, if I can do this, like, what's beyond that?
I think so. I think that I had never been athletic at all. Like I was the kid that took up clarinet so that I could be in the marching band instead of PE as a child. So I was just like the total anti-athlete growing up. And so in a lot of ways, participating in that class and just kind of embracing this as an adult and wanting to feel good and finding ways to do that, it was sort of like creating like an identity that I hadn't let myself experience before. And I do think that these classes just kind of solidified like this is a part of my identity. I want to be athletic as a part of who I am and kind of how I show up in the world. And so, and then I wanted to like see where I could go with that and kind of see what else is possible. So like
Mm.
if I'm starting to feel strong and feel like I have, more to give or more to explore, like where can I go next? And so that was kind of when this trainer arrived, it was really this perfect, kind of a perfect moment to just really then push it to the next level.
And what was then the next thing you were working on with that trainer specifically? So you were lifting weights, but what was kind of the next level for you, something that you haven't done before, something that was different, a different approach for you?
I think the biggest thing that I was introduced to was this idea of like actually tracking progressive overload and like having an established program with like the core movements and then a couple additional
Mm.
that I would, work on over a long period of time. And then, you adjust, but, and like, so as he was, getting his business kind of up and running, he finally got an app where all of his clients could start to track their workouts and track their weights and make notes. And so this idea of, learning good form, but then being able to apply that form toward you know, pushing your strength and actually like really putting muscle in your body. I think that was just the first time I saw like I felt the difference between doing a body weight squat with maybe a 20-pound kettlebell versus like doing a squat of your body weight. So that was just like it just felt like a whole new world, a whole new terrain. And then I will also say, when you're first starting out, reverse dieting is just it's like the most magical experience. Like when someone is like, here's what you actually like, let's see what your body's demanding for the work that you're doing. And you're like dropping weight and eating more and dropping weight and eating more. There's nothing like that. And it kind of, I don't know how many times that happens in a person's life, but yeah, it's just I think at the moment I was just like, what is this? Why did no one tell me about this before? So that was, I think, yeah, aligning nutrition with training intensity and kind of really experiencing all of that coming together for the first time. It was really profound. I think it was a moment where I felt like I was finally working with my body in a new way instead of fighting against my body and always trying to like run out and burn out more calories because I just felt like my body was like broken and like I just couldn't burn enough calories to actually lose the weight I wanted to weight. So that was kind of it felt like a giant level up in terms of just
Yeah.
understanding what are the levers that you actually have to pull when
But you were not done with it there. So
Yeah.
you were like, hey, there must be another level to this. I mean, what happened then? Because I mean, you joined us last year, last summer. What was like the situation right before you joined? Like, what was leading you even to thinking about like joining the Strong Babes Club? Can you?
It's a good question. So one thing that now that I have some distance and I can look back, I think there there are pros and cons to working with a coach and going to their facility. And I will say that, this coach, I'll be forever grateful to him. He was just did so much for me. He was going through a lot of transition. He had like opened up, he was starting his business, but decided to take ownership of a gym. And he just was like, he had so much to figure out and so much going on that I felt like our training just shifted a little bit. So like I wasn't getting, I would like he just was busy and had to cancel. And so I wasn't working out as consistently. And I felt a little bit like I was actually working out less than I wanted to be because I didn't know if he was gonna be there or get swept away into something else. And then I will also say, we went through a cycle, a bulk and a cut cycle. That's kind of, or a build and then a fat loss phase. And I think I was his second female client who he had really done that with. And so we both, we were both learning a lot along the way. So,
What
and
worked
I
and
think
what didn't?
what worked and what didn't, and what to do. I would say many what not to do's looking back. So I definitely look back now and I'm like, wow, I was so off the mark with the build phase because I was still honestly a little fuzzy on like I understood macros at that point, but I was pretty loosey-goosey about calories. So I was like, well, as long as the macros are right, I don't really care what
Mm.
the total calories are. And I was eating way more calories. Like I would just add things on. Like had a lot of empty calories. And so I put on a ton of body fat. I put on a lot of muscle, but a lot of body fat during the build phase. And then when it came time to lose, I was just wholly unprepared. And so I didn't, I just wasn't ready. On one hand, I was just like, I can't wait for this weight to come off my body, but I also wasn't prepared for just like the physical experience of being hungry and like the mental experience of feeling deprived and the meticulousness that actually is required and the social impact. I think that was the biggest thing. I was so used to being able to just kind of go out and I'd be like, well, I have a huge calorie allotment. I can kind of eat whatever I want. And I just had that mindset for way too long. So
Do you
it was,
remember? Do you
yeah,
remember like how long was your building phase? And do you
I,
remember how much you put on in that time frame?
let's see, the full, it was maybe about 6 or 7 months. And I think I put on about 13 or 14 pounds. Um, some of it was muscle. Definitely some of it was not. I was like the marshmallow. I felt like I was like, it was just sausage casing trying to put my gym clothes on. It was a disaster. So yeah, it was just, but it was an experience. And I think now, like now I have an idea of like, during a build, like I feel like I have a much clearer idea of like how thoughtful you still want to be because you don't, that's just, it's not necessary to do that. That's, yeah, it happens. I think some people like have their experience with that, but doesn't have to be that way. So, I went through a cut where we were just, I wasn't being very careful, but I was also frustrated at the lack of progress. And so we just kept taking away calories and adding cardio. And at the end of it, I just kind of stopped because I ran out of gas and I hadn't really ended up in an amazing place. It was, the weight came off, but also a lot of muscle. So then I was just kind of lost and I like didn't really know how to reverse out and like I wasn't training as consistently. And I felt like I wanted to try again. I wanted to do this again, but I also wanted to be a little bit more in the driver's seat where like I could work out at home with, I'm super lucky to have this gym at home where we have a squat rack and a cable machine and a treadmill and dumbbells. We have all the basics. And I just kind of wanted to be accountable to myself and I'm not be trying to please anybody else, but to just really see what I could do with guidance and with community support and with structure, but like really kind of be the person who's making the call. And like I wanted to just really show myself that I could do this and do it well and recommit to what
Yeah.
I had hoped for when I originally did that cycle.
Yeah. Because we also see, I mean, there are a lot of ladies going through building and cutting, like bulking and cutting phases. For example, Johanna did that as well before she joined. She was going through a building phase, and her nutritionists were just like ramping up the calories, just like eat more, eat more. Yeah, you are fine. And she gained like a lot, like 30 pounds in like 8 months or something like that. It was like crazy. So I'm asking like what made you still pursue that kind of goal when you had that like quote unquote bad experience? I mean, you're looking back now and you're like very thankful for having that kind of experience, being thankful for that because you have learned from it. But right in the moment where you're like, hey, I just did it and it worked out like this and I gained too much, I didn't feel good on my body, and I have gone through a cutting phase where you also didn't, it was not an empowering feeling of like just cutting and just adding more cardio and being a little bit burned out. What was it in you that were like, maybe there is a different way, and like kind of trusting the process again?
I think that, as much as I wish that like the results had been better, I still got a glimpse of what was possible. And I think that was what kept me going. So like, you know, uh, I think as I mentioned, like not having ever really been an athlete, I've always struggled with my weight. I've always been heavier. I've always had more body fat. I've just struggled to sort of look like somebody who works out. And so there've been a few moments in my life where I felt more in alignment, where I felt like my body aligned with what I was doing. That I was rock climbing a lot. That was one of those moments. And so even though the results in both directions in that first cycle were not ideal, I think I saw a glimpse of like, oh, I like seeing more muscle on my body. I like how my body looks with more muscle. I'm not ever going to be like a wafy a super thin woman. That's just not that's not how my genes work, and that's totally okay. But I think what I felt like I like the way that my body looks when I am stronger. And so even though I lost some of the muscle and I still had some body fat at the end of the cut, I think that I felt like I was moving in a direction that I was excited about and kind of happy with. And so I wanted to see like what's possible if I actually just try again and really try to do it better and do more things right the next time. So part of it is yeah, just a little bit of like as an adult, like, I'm in my mid 40s, like what is possible at this point in my life? Like what can my body look like? And so I feel a little bit like vain saying that, I will confess. But I also am like, why not? We like this is, we get to do this. Like we get to kind of choose how we spend our time and our energy. And this is something that I want to put energy and time behind.
And then you joined the Strong Babes Club. And
Yes.
what were your, can you remember the time you joined and what surprised you at the very beginning?
Oh my gosh. I think that there were one of the things that maybe surprised me the most was the reframe around carbohydrates. So I feel like the coach that I had with wasn't like a low carb person, but he also wasn't as open to like higher carbs to fuel performance. I think he was in kind of maybe just a moderate place. And so it really blew my mind to sort of see like the how the calculator reset macro targets. And that was really cool. The other thing that I think just felt really inviting and amazing about the Strong Babes Club was seeing that it's for women. This is like specifically a place for women who can share with each other and learn from you and Yannick. And like there's just this crowdsource of people who have so much experience or who are learning and like we all get to learn together. So that was really appealing for me as well. Just the community aspect of it and that kind of shared learning. And then really I feel like what you and Yannick put together in like the podcasts, it was this idea of like the meal timing was new to me, having like these how to parse out like meals and snacks and making sure that each one had elements of all the macros that you're supposed to be, accumulating. And then, intro workout fuel, that was a whole new thing. So it just sort of seemed like all of these, it's like on every front, more detail, more experience, more knowledge, more to learn. And it just was like everything was on another level. So I think those were the things that made me feel like I found a really great place to pick back up and grow. So yeah, I was just thrilled. It's like the more I learn, the more you look, you're like, oh, and then there's a curriculum, like it just, there's everything. I feel like everything that somebody needs is here and you can take it at your own pace and, take it in as you can, but it's all there, which is great.
So for you, it was also kind of you loved actually the more in-depth, more like let's see like how can we be more strategic about, yeah, like putting a plan together or more precise. So that was not something that was like scaring you off, but it was like, ooh, that's like kind of, it goes even more like down the rabbit hole.
Yes, I loved it because I really loved that. It was sort of, it's like, if we're gonna do this, let's do it. That was kind of how it felt.
I
And
mean,
that, yeah.
it's kind of, it's going back to what you said that you were never the athlete, but there is something inside you which is like why not? Like why not tapping into my athlete self? And I mean, what athletes are doing is like being very precise with what they're doing when it comes to training, nutrition, and recovery. So I always see the Strong Babes Club and I'm like, damn, this is like a bunch of like athletes, female athletes at like one place who are taking it really to the next level. And I mean, beginners can start with us too, of course, but there just needs to be this interest in going a little bit deeper into into the topics of training and nutrition. It's not the generic like calories in, calories out, and that's it, or just cut the calories to drop some weight. But there are like so many nuances to this, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And was there something that surprised you in a negative way? Like what did you thought like at the very beginning? Because I knew we were like kind of bringing up your calories after the reverse diet. That was kind of the first phase we went through, and then you thought about dropping some weight again,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
What was happening back then?
Well, so I this is the confessions moment. So, I followed the reverse plan and kind of brought things back up. And I think that what I have battled with a little bit is just the finality of, I don't the reality of being short. And the reality is when you're short, and I'm, 4'11", you just don't get to eat quite as much. And so I think that I love to eat. I love food. I love my husband and I, we love going out. And so um I don't think I had quite accepted the reality of like if I want to dedicate, if I want to be in alignment with health goals, it does require a lifestyle that I hadn't fully accepted. And so I think that was something I had to and I have to admit I still think about that. It's not fully resolved. I think there are moments where I'm like, I wish I could be the person that could just like eat whatever they want and like have the body that they want. And I am just not that person. So that's okay. There's a lot that I have gotten out of like realigning my life with health goals. But I will say this fall, like I think part of it was like we went on vacation totally off the rails. And then it was very hard to get back. I have to admit, I think that like when I pinpoint this fall, coming back from vacation and then getting back into a mode of tracking was really hard. And then I also realized that like we then had an anniversary and a birthday, and we had it like we just kind of had this cascade of things, and our ways of celebrating what is going out to eat. And so we just had this kind of series of weeks where I was just eating out way more than I need to or should have. And so by the time fall and December rolled around, I felt really, I just felt like I had lost the thread. And so I, I had a Reiki session. I don't know, for those of you who aren't familiar with Reiki, it's just energy work. And so this woman, she was talking about like goals for the new year. And the whole idea behind her session was to just think about what you want to accomplish in the new year and like clear your energy and get ready for that. And top of mind for me was to kind of get back on track with tracking my food and with like cooking at home and rethinking how we celebrate, my husband and I, how we celebrate occasions with each other and how we enjoy vacation time.
Mhm.
And I just realized that I'm more committed to living in a way that feels really good and like feels good in the moment and the 5 days after than those like than the eating with abandon. Like that might feel good for a meal, but then it doesn't feel that great for like the next day on the scale. And it's not to say that it's all or nothing, but it's the balance for I was just out of balance. And so I decided to start my fat loss phase December 1, which might not have, it did require being in a more strict place over the holidays, but it was really manageable. And it was manageable in part because my family, I told them in advance that I was going to be, watching what I eat a little bit more carefully, and they were supportive. And I just like when I started, I went all in. And it was partly inspired by some of the podcasts that I've listened to from you, Jordana, where you've talked about, I think there's this phrase, it takes what it takes. And you're like, it's a job, you can look at it like a job. And I just was like, okay, my job for the next 6-ish months is to do this and to like execute. And I got a lot more specific about tracking and weighing and transitioning things into grams. That was a big shift. And so I think that was part of what happened. It was just looking really broadly at how, yeah, I think it was like the things that we've been holding on to in like our this is with my husband, like how we celebrate and like the easy going out for dinner. That was the lazy dinner out. Like we just feel like takeout. And like I don't think I was appreciating the impact of that on our on the scale until I really looked at like what I had ballooned up to. So since then, we have I've been really rethinking like I still want to celebrate, but like maybe that's making a nice dinner at home, and maybe we'll have one or two like really special dinners out in a year, but it doesn't need to be like for every special occasion because there are too many. There can be too many.
There
So
can be like always, it's always,
yeah.
it is such a nice, and that's the point, like nowadays in the countries we live in, it's like you go out for dinner, like you can do that like every day. You can do that for lunch, you can do that for dinner. It's always nice. It's always a way to kind of unwind and connect 100%. But yeah, it's the balance of like, hey, how can you have that, but in a way that still supports your athlete lifestyle? Because you want to achieve a certain physique, and to do that, you want to get the best, like really reap the benefits of the fat loss phase. So that what I always like to think of at the end of the fat loss phase, you should think like, I'm really done with this. I'm done with it for the next like at least 12 months, at least 12 months, or 2 years. I always had like 2 years between my fat loss phases because I was like, just, okay, this is, I exhausted it, and it's okay. Because when you're kind of on this lifestyle diet, which I like to call it like lifestyle diet, where you try to incorporate always eating out, it can be like a chewing gum. And then you are kind of always on diet. And I think this is also not so healthy, um, for the long run, for like our own relationship to food and training and our bodies. So I think you have made such an amazing like shift last year, like end of last year. Um, and I mean, your results are amazing. I can't like show here the weight chart, but it's really like this boom. It's like it's dropping, and you have so little weight fluctuations. And weight fluctuations are part of the game. Of course, things are, shifting, hormones, sleep, training, water intake, all of that. But yours is so like you have minimized the weight fluctuations to a minimum. Let's say it like this: you have like constant drops in your body weight since the beginning of your fat loss journey, which just shows how dedicated you are, because this is when you're trying really to give your best as much as you can for as long as you can, and just execute, like having a deadline and being like, okay, this is like a job that I'm getting done. And I think you have made that switch. You're kind of in this like phase of breaking through and showing yourself what you're actually able to do, going through that kind of phase.
Thank you. Yeah, it has been really, it has felt really good to just be so consistent and to like, and it's not perfect. I have had my nights, but like, I have to also remember it's the 3 nights maybe that I wish I could rewind and redo are those don't destroy the like 3 months of like be like weighing and planning and like all of that. That's what matters. And that's it has felt really good to just get in a zone and stick with it.
And it's like 3 nights on, like when you're looking 3 nights, that's one a month. It's not like 2, 3 nights a week, you know?
Yes.
People try to make fit a fat loss phase in their normal life, like their everyday life, like being on a maintenance phase or in a building phase. But that's definitely not the, I mean, I can't tell nobody how to do a fat loss phase, but I wish that more women would experience what you are currently experiencing, because then once you have nailed that, the moment you will be done with your fat loss phase, it's just like my prognosis for you. You will feel much more empowered in the process of fat loss. And it will feel like, okay, if I want to, I can pull this off whenever I need or want to. And this is super powerful because it's not this constant, like, um, thinking, am I able to lose weight? Am I able to lose body fat? Am I able to get in shape? It's not that. It's then like, okay, when I want to, I can do that. And I know exactly what it takes.
Yes, I think it's like having the evidence, like showing yourself like through the graph and through all these metrics that we're tracking that yeah, like it's possible, like I am capable of executing something that is not easy, but it's also not impossible. I think that was like yeah, just what you said. It's like just showing myself that it's possible to do this is extremely empowering, and it has already felt like that. And so I am excited to kind of see it through all the way to the end and get to the other side.
So you are now 3 months in. How much weight have you already lost in those 3 months?
It's around 15 pounds
Wow.
in the 3 months. And I will say like I definitely gained a lot of weight in the fall. So some of that was like some of that was that needed to come off. And now I'm a little bit at a threshold where I am now where I left off at my last fat loss phase. So this is kind of I'm about to kind of push into a new, like what will feel like new frontier. And I'm not sure. I was going to do an SOS post. I'm not sure if I've stalled, if it's time for an adjustment or not, but I have, about 3 more months left. And so I'm really excited. It was also really helpful to have the community and you and Yannick to ask like, what is a good goal at the end? Because this is something I haven't done before, and I haven't, gotten to that weight in a controlled way where I understood what was happening. So I'm very excited just to have that experience too. So
Without just like, just cut calories and just add more cardio.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
And how much, what are you striving for? So we have then 3 more months.
So we have 3 more months. I think I would like to strive for 110. And if I get there and I'm like, I can squeeze a little more out, I have like as a backup 108 as like kind of but I'll be happy at 110. If I get to 110 and I need to be done, then I'll be done.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're making your SOS post
Yes,
that we're
yes.
troubleshooting what's happening for everyone who's listening and doesn't know what an SOS post is. So inside of the community, we of course help you troubleshoot whenever something is happening. If you do have questions, but we have a like template specifically where we get to understand what was your rate of loss, where's your current body weight, and what kind of, like, which week you're in of your fat loss phase, how's your energy, digestion, steps, sleep, all that kind of stuff. And then we will give you our recommendation on how to tweak things. So make the SOS post, because I remember 2 weeks ago, roughly 2 weeks ago, you were like, maybe things are a little bit slowing down with my rate of loss. But we can definitely troubleshoot that and then let you know like what to do, because they're like, everyone is so different.
Yeah.
There's definitely not like one recommendation that we would give everyone. Of course, they're not like endless levers that we can pull. But it really is dependent on the individual person, like also how to tweak macros, or reduce macros. It can come from sometimes even protein, sometimes carbs, sometimes fat. So this could all be the case. And that's why I think it's great to still have a coach by your side to just help out with like, hey, what to do.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Tell you exactly what to do. What would you give someone who is like maybe on the fence, maybe already tried to build cut before and is kind of like, yeah, maybe also like, I know how this works. It's like when you're building, you're eating more. When you're cutting, you're just eating less, and kind of this it. Who would you recommend like the Strong Babes Club for? Because I don't think it's for every woman out there. And what would you advise this woman like who's on the fence joining?
Oh my gosh. I feel like this is for the woman who knows that she's capable of more and just hasn't quite had the right information given in the right way yet. But who knows that, like, I don't know. I feel like this is for the woman who's just been curious about getting strong, and needs that extra bit of support doing a program that makes sense and having a nutrition plan that will really unlock potential in a new way. So I think a lot of women are curious about like strength training and strength, building strength in their body and using that as a way to just transform their physique, but don't know how. Um, and there's a lot of noise out there. So this is a program that cuts through the noise. So if this is, I think if there's a woman who's just like, is this the real deal? This is the real deal. So I would say, yes, this is the program that will help people figure out how to create results for themselves. And then I think for if somebody's like on the fence or not sure what phase to be in, one thing that has really resonated with me is just this idea of like, for me, I guess with the fat loss phase, I really don't know what my body, like what muscle have I put on that I just haven't been able to really see yet because I haven't gotten that lean. And so I am very curious just to like really get a sense of like what does my body look like when it's lean? And then once I can see like where I have a lot of muscle or not a lot of muscle, then I have a clear idea of where I want to focus when I go back into a build cycle. So I think that for me, it's information that like I don't have that clear picture yet. And so I think it's worth it to do that and to sort of really, I guess it's just like getting good information. That's a lot of what this program offers. And then I think with the build phase, it's especially if somebody has been eating a chronically low calorie diet and hasn't ever really built, that's the best place in the world because you get to reverse and get strong. And it's just nothing's better than that. Nothing is better than the very first reverse diet where weight is just dropping off and you feel so good in the gym. So everyone should experience that. Everybody should enjoy that kind of magical carpet ride because it's so good. And then it happens again, but the first time is just the best. And so I definitely think every woman should have that experience.
It's like where
Yeah.
you're thinking, like, what the fuck? Is this science? Is this magic? Like, what's happening here?
What is happening? Yeah. Yeah. I think I mean, this is just my own very personal plug with strength training. And like, I, again, I'm short. I'm not a very tall woman. And there is a confidence that comes with knowing that I am strong and like building like real strength in the gym. And I think that that is also just, there is a nice kind of quiet power that comes along with that I think is really very cool for women to experience and to just kind of have in their back pocket. So that's I could geek out on that all day, but I do think that's something that is, it's a side bonus. There's a lot of confidence knowing that you can go in a gym and maybe lift as heavy or maybe heavier than the person next to you.
100%. 100%. I can absolutely relate to that. It's it's something very magical. Like the first time I was pulling like 220 pounds from the floor, it was like, oh my gosh, like this is me doing this. And it's not, I mean, there were people in the gym like looking, and it's not so much that they are like looking and thinking like that I'm strong or whatever. They are thinking about me. I don't care. But it was like, yeah, that's that's me, or when the postman is coming bringing me like something and it's heavy, and he's like, yeah, let me carry that for you, and I'm like, give me that parcel package, no problem.
Yeah, yeah. That's
It's a
very
good
cool.
feeling also, like
Yeah,
outside of the gym, to know like I'm strong.
yeah, yeah. Like knowing you can do hard things and
Exactly.
that you can kind of create energy to do hard things. That's really special to
Yeah,
experience.
100%. So for you this year, I mean, we will do the fat loss phase. You will do the reverse diet with us, and then probably um, you will see like how much muscle mass is left.
Yeah.
And you're definitely curious to start into a lean build phase. A lean build, not a like not a marshmallow build.
Yes. I would like to never do another marshmallow build.
It's just not necessary. But I had that too, I think it's the one thing that it's like the first time you do it, and it's like for Yannick and me, it was like pizza and ice cream diet. We were eating so much Haagen-Dazs in the evening and going out for dinner and having pizza. It was just like, yeah, I have 1,000 calories left. So, I can eat whatever. But yeah,
Yeah, it's quite an experience.
it is an experience. But if you're joining us inside the Strong Babes Club, we will take care of not just like getting a marshmallow fluffy, but actually helping you to do it in a strategic and a good way. And I mean, a little bit of weight will come on. That is also body fat, of course, but um, not so much that you think like, damn it, now I need to get rid of that again, and it's like just double the amount than what was necessary.
It's, I think it's uh, yeah, getting out of a yo-yo, which can feel so unmotivating and very frustrating, and instead feeling like I feel like I get to kind of learn how to be in a driver's seat, and I am really excited to sort of it's like a reset. So like, get to a lean point, see what's there, and then I am excited to kind of rebuild a little bit and then work on getting strong, strong again in the gym. So yeah, and I have like a 5-year plan in my mind of how I want to cycle. So yeah.
That's
This,
it. I love that.
yeah.
That's my girl. It's like this long-term thinking. It changes the game, because once you understand that it's like it is very strategic when it comes to transforming. You need like really a strategy and a plan mapped out to transform your body. I always think that on like social media when women are writing me, I'm like, every woman can, like, if you're ready to put the work and the time in, every woman can transform her body. It's like it's not something magical that we haven't cracked yet. We know how to reduce body fat and build muscle mass. And
Yeah.
so often we think like, hey, I'm not made for this. I've never been an athletic person. And yes, 100% there are people who are not like genetically like super gifted, like others, but still you can still add muscle mass and reduce body fat and transform your body. And it's just like becoming your like the architect of your own body is like, wow, super
I
exciting.
yes, that's such a great way to put it, the architect of your own body. And I just, I feel like the program that you have created for people, you just make it easy. You make it easy for people to know what they need to do. And then so often the challenge is just doing it. Is like finding the day-to-day routines that kind of establishing the day-to-day routines that fuel the plan and that become the plan. So, but this program offers everything. And then of course the community support too, which is amazing. So yeah.
Thank you, Tessa. Thank you for being such an amazing part of the community. being an active member, supporting the others, and also showing them like what's possible when you follow through, even though you have had your own struggles. So it's not always about like, here I am and I'm doing everything perfectly, but about like also sharing when things are not working and when we are struggling. I think that's also something special about the club, because there are a lot of like wins but also struggles,
Yeah.
which makes it so relatable. And yeah, I think the ladies inside are very like vulnerable in sharing what's currently going on in their life, and it's part of the process. So thank you for being so open. Thank you for the interview. Thank you for sharing all of that. And I really, really can see like what's unfolding for you in the next months, like this whole year. This is a special year for you.
Oh, well, I cannot thank you enough. You've been amazing, such a like source of inspiration and support and knowledge. And I'm so grateful. I'm just really grateful to have found this and to be part of it. So thank you for helping me be on this pathway. It's been great.
Thank you, Tessa. Thank you.
Thanks.